Tanny Cooks here, and today I make the best ever broccoli and cheese casserole. I hate when people make it with mashed up, mushed up broccoli, so I'm going to show you how to make it with big pieces of broccoli florets. I also made some turnip greens with smoked ham hock, as well as some mustard fried chicken wings. Now, I've showed you how to make these delicious chicken wings and greens in other videos, so today we're just going to focus on the broccoli and cheese casserole. So, let's get to cooking. These are the ingredients we're going to start off with. We are going to start off with some red hoop cheddar cheese. So delicious. I'm using cream of chicken soup. You could also use cream of mushroom to make it vegan or vegetarian. Have spring onions, sour cream, mayonnaise, and I have 2 bags of frozen broccoli florets. We're using a variety of seasonings. Okay, so we're going to make broccoli and cheese casserole. It's pretty quick and simple. The first thing I'm going to do is, some people say not to use frozen broccoli because it gets mushy. The trick for me to make this without my frozen broccoli getting mushy is to take it out of the freezer and let it thaw on the counter or thaw it in the microwave for just a couple of seconds. I'm not actually going to cook this or steam it before I mix it up for the casserole. So that's the secret, because you can eat broccoli raw and it's going to cook as it bakes in the casserole. So using the frozen broccoli saves me some time. I'm using 2 16-ounce bags. And because these still have some frozen crystals on them, I am going to thaw them in the microwave for about 10 or 15 seconds and then squeeze the extra liquid out in a kitchen towel. Just so that that water doesn't dilute our casserole. Because as you can see in the background, we have a number of seasonings that we're going to add, and we don't want that flavor to be diluted. If you want to take your frozen broccoli out and put it in a bowl overnight, you certainly can do that to let it thaw out, and then you wouldn't need to use the microwave. So this is going to go in the microwave for just about 10 seconds. Next up, you can see that I already took some of my green onions and I gave them a wash and then I chopped them up. And so many people ask me for specifics, and that's the hardest thing for a soul food cook is, we typically don't cook from specific recipes, especially for savory stuff, maybe for a baked cake. So I just cut up the amount of green onions I thought I would need. And so I'm going to use this tablespoon so we can check how many tablespoons I have. And that's the thing that's hard. How much do you pack it in? Or how much do you have it overflowing? So let's just call that 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3, 3.5, 4. So 4 tablespoons. If you're going to use chopped onion, you can chop a red onion or yellow onion really small and use just about 1/4 of a cup. So that's our green onion. And then I am going to cut up with my cheese. So typically I like sharp cheese, extra sharp New York sharp cheese, but what I have on hand is this red hoop cheddar, which is really delicious. It's kind of a mild cheese though. So I'm going to use about 12 to 16 ounces. This is 1.7 ounces, 1.72 pounds. So I'm not going to need to use all of this. I better not break my knife, because this is my KitchenAid knife. Okay. And I'm not going to weigh this to get a precise measurement. What we're going to do is mix up all our ingredients and then take a taste and look at how the ratio of ingredients looks, and then if I need to add more cheese, I'll do it. Okay, so I got a good pound of cheese here. This is the small piece that I put in my freezer bag to use later. So I like to shred mine with the big side, not the small one. So let's just grate. Okay, I am almost finished shredding up my cheese, but I wanted to show you this. When you get down to a nub of cheese, don't grate your fingers trying to grate all of that. For one, it's not sanitary. Just take the clump of cheese and break it into small pieces, and this will be on the top and corners. My family enjoys getting a chunk of cheese. So just break it up. This hoop cheese I said earlier, it has a mild flavor. It actually has a flavor in between mild and sharp to me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is mix in our ingredients that we need. So I'm going to open up my can of cream of chicken. You can use cream of mushroom. I know they make a cream of broccoli, but I've never used that before. I'll probably experiment with it at some point, but I didn't want to do this for this recipe since I'm making this for some other people. Take my 1 egg. Of course, if you want this to be vegetarian, then you would use cream of mushroom instead of cream of chicken, but for my people, that is okay. So I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. I'll use my fork. Now, if you don't have sour cream, to use a 1/2 cup of mayo, 1/2 cup of sour cream, you can use 1 cup of mayo. Mayo contains egg in it, so it's going to help as the binder. And because I'm using mayonnaise, I'm only using 1 egg. Some recipes don't use any mayonnaise, and they call for several eggs. And you'll notice I did a heaping 1/2 cup because I used some extra broccoli. Remember, I had 32 ounces instead of 30, and then I have some extra cheese here. So this is going to be a little bit of a soul food measurement dish because I'm going to measure out however much I need, irregardless of what the measuring cup says, right? So, but it is good to have measurements to start out with for the recipe, especially if you're new to cooking or new to this specific recipe. This butter knife is not doing it. Sour cream adds a nice tang to it and creaminess. Those are both dairy products, so I'm going to stick these back in the refrigerator. If I need more, then I'll just pull them out at that time. I'm going to add some seasonings. So I'm just going to add a sprinkle. Paprika. Onion powder. We're going to add a little bit more sprinkling of seasonings when we add our broccoli. But I want to make sure that the base components of the flavor that are going to be mixed throughout all the broccoli is well seasoned. So that's why we're adding it at this point as well. Black pepper. Ground mustard is a great complement to dishes that contain cheese, and so you can get this on Amazon. I have a link to it in my description. This is the McCormick brand ground mustard. Let me see, I just bought this. What's the expiration date on this? September 12th, 2024. So I have a good long while to use up this bottle. And some parsley. I'm not adding salt because cheese has plenty of salt in it, as well as fat actually, but also the family I'm cooking for are salt sensitive. So if they want more salt than what I make in the dish, then they can just add it themselves afterwards. So let's just give this a mix. I'll go ahead and add in my onions. A little bit of my cheese is mixed in, that's okay. Now it's time to add in my broccoli. And I end up defrosting this for a whole minute. So depending upon how frozen yours is will determine how long you need to thaw it out. But see, it is no more ice crystals on it, but it is some moisture, and I don't want it to dilute my dish too much. So I'm just going to give it a squeeze, and you'll notice that some wetness on my paper towel. And I don't mind my food being in big chunks. I probably mentioned that before. I like knowing, I like being able to look at this and identify the broccoli crown. So I'm not going to chop this up. We are taking our frozen broccoli that has been thawed and we're squeezing it in a towel to get all of the moisture out, similar to what you would do if you were cooking with frozen spinach. See that? Oop! Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. No reason to cook your frozen broccoli for this dish. And look at all that liquid that we left in the pan. Yep, that's exactly what we wanted. Let's just give our broccoli a toss. You can see I did mix some cheese in here. So now I'm just going to spray my pan with a little bit of cooking spray, just to make sure it doesn't stick. Cheese is going to be oily enough. You probably could get away if you don't have any oil to spray the pan. I'm just going to add half of my broccoli. This makes a 9x9 pan, but I'm using this to-go disposable pan, which is, I have to look up the exact measurements. And now I'm just going to sprinkle some cheese on it. Yeah, this is going to be quite cheesy. And I'm going to add my second half. I'm not one of those people who like a casserole that only has cheese on the top, especially if cheese is in the title, like macaroni and cheese and broccoli and cheese. I'm going to flatten this out a bit. I'm going to scrape my bowl a little bit more. Now, some people like to add a crunchy element like crackers. I'm not that person either. I like using this broccoli and cheese casserole recipe kind of as a low-carb substitute for macaroni and cheese. And I don't add a crunchy element to my soul food mac and cheese either. So, not going to add it here. But if that's something you want to try, there are plenty of recipes online that you could look at. So now I'm going to add my last bit of cheese on top. My cheese nubs, I'm going to add in the corner as a special surprise for the people who get the corner pieces. You probably could have did a little less cheese, but I think I'm going to be happy with this. Broccoli and cheese. And then, oh, I didn't add more seasoning to my broccoli, did I? So I'm just going to add a little bit of paprika on top. And I guess I'll do a little bit of black pepper as well. So we're going to pop this in the oven, 350 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour. You'll know when it's cooked, when it's starting to brown on top, very similar to your mac and cheese. And I'm just going to wipe off my edges. If you notice it's starting to brown too much in your oven, you can add a piece of aluminum foil on top or turn down your oven, or make sure your this pan is a little bit further away from your heating element. So after about 55 minutes of cooking, I took it out of the oven and let it rest on the counter for a good 20 minutes. You want to do that with all of your casseroles so that they could firm up and come together before you cut into it. And look at this, y'all. Look at those big, beautiful broccoli crowns. I love that each piece is big enough for me to taste and enjoy that it's broccoli and it's not just broccoli mash. This is so good and so much better than the other casseroles I've tasted from other people. I cooked it till it got very golden. You don't have to let yours get as dark as mine if you don't want. But remember, I added that smoked paprika on top, which also contributed to the color. My ham hock is falling off the bone. These are turnip greens and collards mixed. And then this fried chicken was so good and so juicy. So be sure to check out my other videos.